Hello, my name's Andrew. I'm a music producer and a long-term anxiety sufferer. Each week I'm uploading a video to this channel, Anxious Andrew, talking all things anxiety. Today I'm giving you 10 tips to reduce your anxiety. These are things that I use personally on a daily basis to help reduce my anxiety. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe to my channel and stick around for the video. Tip number 1, slow down your thoughts. Anxiety makes your thoughts race and it feels like your head's going to explode. If you can step in and just slow down whatever you're thinking, that's really going to help reduce your anxiety. So even if you're still thinking about scary things or stressful things, if you can just say them to yourself but slower, that helps to take the sting out of them. Let's say you've got two things swimming around in your head. You've got a dentist appointment tomorrow and you're worried about getting enough sleep tonight. If you just say to yourself slowly, I'm worried, I'm really stressed about my dentist appointment tomorrow. Even slower than that, just take the mick with it. I'm really worried and anxious about my dentist appointment tomorrow. Just slow it down like that, even if it's still got a aggressive tone, even if it's still frightening you, just say it really, really dramatically slowly. This also helps to pull your attention to that one thought. So hopefully the other thoughts that are racing around in your head don't have such a chance to stress you out. You can just focus on that one thought for a second and hopefully give yourself a breather. Tip number 2, write down and question your thoughts. Take the loudest or the scariest thought you're currently having and physically write it down. Then you can fact check it and weigh up the pros and cons. So for me, a very common thought I'll have is, I'm going to be sick, I think I'm ill. So I'll write that down somewhere. I'm going to be sick, I think I'm ill. And then I'll look at anything that I have, any evidence I have that says that's true. What is there that's going on that means I could possibly be sick or that I'm ill? Then I'll look at evidence that suggests maybe I'm not going to be sick and I'm not ill. Weighing up pros and cons like this is really helpful, and you'll often realize that you're catastrophizing the thought in your head and the reality isn't anywhere near as scary as the thought itself. Tip number 3. Bring yourself back to the here and now. So often, anxious thoughts I'm having are about things that are happening in the future and aren't actually happening to me right now. I'll be worried about something I'm doing later on today, something I'm doing tomorrow morning, something I'm doing in a week's time, and it's not actually impacting me right now. If you can just ask yourself, is it that bad right now? Often the answer will be no. Again, I'm often worried about being sick, and I will think I'm going to be sick, and in 3 hours' time, I'm going to feel really, really awful and be sick. But actually, if I pull myself back to right now, how sick do I feel right now in this second? It's not actually that bad. Tip number 4, control your breathing. So many times we think we need to breathe in really hard when we're anxious, and then just to try and calm down. But this just increases your heart rate and gets you more het up. You just need to ask yourself, how would I be breathing if I wasn't anxious? And obviously you can barely hear yourself breathing normally. So you're trying to find some way to breathe not too deep, not too shallow, not too quickly. Just try to control your breathing and just breathe as you normally would. Tip number 5, don't be too hard on yourself. If you're having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month, there's no point in just beating yourself up about it. Remember that it's not your fault. I'm terrible for this. Whenever I'm having a tough time, I'll give myself tough love and tell myself I just need to push through it. No matter how tired I am, no matter how exhausted I am, I'll just keep flogging myself into the ground. That tough love can be good and can work for some people, but for me, 9 times out of 10, if you tell me to do something, I'm just going to go in completely the opposite direction. Tip number 6, don't be too easy on yourself. Conversely to what I just said, you can't keep putting things off until tomorrow and ignoring them and hoping that they'll just go away. At some point, you are going to have to face up to your anxiety or the situation that's stressing you out, and that, of course, is going to be hard. So you are going to need to push yourself into that uncomfortable situation. Tip number 7, get some fresh air. Anything you can do to get some fresh air, if it's just going out for a walk or taking some exercise or popping to the shop or running some errands, that's going to help. Even if you just open the window and let some fresh air in, it can really help to reduce your anxiety and reset you. Tip number 8, get some rest. Without proper sleep, our bodies and our minds can't function properly. So it's really beneficial to get yourself a proper sleep routine. Things like making sure you're going to bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning. Things like not looking at your phone for an hour before you go to bed, reducing your screen time. Just create your own sleep routine and follow it. Also make sure you plan in some downtime throughout your day or throughout your week. It's all well and good keeping busy and meeting up with friends and doing things, but you do need to rest as well. Because without your rest, you can just exhaust yourself, and when you're exhausted, your anxiety levels are just going to shoot up through the roof. Tip number 9, be silly. When you're going through an anxious period, everything becomes very dark and very heavy. So anything you can do to lighten the mood is going to help you. Whether it's watching a funny film, watching silly videos on YouTube, whatever you can do to make yourself laugh is going to help you. Try to get back to that silly, childish, mucking about state that is still somewhere still inside you. Tip number 10, talk to yourself as a friend would. When I'm anxious or het up, I'm really horrible to myself. My tone is really mean and I become really bullying to myself. So it's very helpful to ask yourself, how would you talk to a friend if your friend was in this situation? What would you say to your friend? What tone of voice would you use to talk to your friend? How would you judge your friend? Then if you can take that friendly voice and apply it to yourself as you're talking to yourself, that's really going to help you feel better about yourself and help you feel much better equipped to deal with anxiety. There you go, that's all 10 of my tips. Give these tips a go and let me know how you get on. If you would like to get in touch, please email me at anxiousandrewchannel@gmail.com. See you on the next one.